let's switch gears to talk about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, which we haven't talked about in a couple of weeks now, but it's important to give you guys an update. So the Russian military and Ukraine has taken a big defeat, right? They were at first, initially, their goal was to take over the entire country, denazification, so-called denazification, and they were trying to subjugate the government and install a puppet government, right? They were going after the capital, Kiev, and they utterly failed. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, they announced a massive retreat away from those centers, and instead, they changed gears, right? Now they're saying that their priority is to tackle the Donbass region, which is to the east, right? So they're switching goalposts because they know that they've taken this huge defeat, and now they know that they can't go back home, right? They can't end the war. Russia can't end the war and go back home without some sort of victory. So now they're trying to go to Donbass and the Donbass region and try to take control of that area. And it's very interesting to see if they'll even succeed. I was reading up on the subject, and Michael Kaufman, who works for the Center for Naval Analysis, he's been a pretty good guy on this with the Ukraine war. And I think his analysis is pretty apt most of the time. And there's what he has to say. He says that without national mobilization, I think the Donbass is the last major offensive the Russian military can attempt given the current state and availability of forces. Whether it succeeds or fails, the Russian military will be largely exhausted in terms of offensive potential. And right now, Russia is trying to surround Ukrainian positions in the north and the parts of Donbass. And Kaufman continues to say that by doing so, by surrounding Ukrainian forces, trying to cut them off in the north, that it's a quite risky operation because Ukrainian forces have been reinforcing around the city of Kharkiv, which is further up north in that eastern region, in the Donbass region, and they've been attacking and threatening Russian ground lines of communication for this offensive. So even if Russia does make significant gains in this regard, they could be pressed to hold territory and be a lot more vulnerable afterwards. And as for Ukraine, what they have been doing in terms of advancing and moving troops, they've been in Zaporizhia, Donbass, and Kharkiv. They've been deploying reinforcements in those cities. And Russia has made little effort to disrupt ground lines of communication into the Donbass. And this means that a Russian success is at best contingent, and Ukraine could be in a position to launch counter-offensives. So the question is, will Russia, be able to claim a victory? Will they be able to win this phase of the war? Or is it going to be a stalemate? And Kaufman says that this isn't necessarily grounds for a stalemate, as Ukraine has its own offensive positions, but Russia may try to consolidate control over the territory and pressure Ukraine via a blockade. And I imagine that this blockade would come into fruition if they see that they aren't advancing in this front. And he says that it's way too early to predict what the next phase might look like, and it depends on what Ukraine chooses to do. So let's take this all into perspective as a whole. The war started a little over 2 months ago, right, in February, and the Russian military has utterly failed. I mean, again, they started with these grand plans of denazification, taking over the entire country, decapitating the government and at Kiev, and now they've resorted to the Donbass region, to controlling the Donbass region, which I think, let's say even if they take this region, it's still going to be an utter loss for them, because if that's all they're going to get from this war, this Donbass region, they could have gotten that region without all this intervention, without a huge war and economic devastating sanctions on their economy. Why? Because, I mean, Russia had already had an upper hand in terms of like the misinformation war in that region, and it looked like probably that region would have broken away to Russia either way. But now, with this war, they've kind of, again, risked their entire economy, their military. They've been shown to be weak and utterly incapable of fighting a war with Ukraine, which, again, like, it isn't some sort of superpower, but yeah, I mean, like, it's been dealt a blow, and regardless of the outcome, it's going to be humiliating for Putin when he brings back the troops home, and the people see that they've taken so many losses, and for what? For barely anything. And so, they're going to try to limit their losses in the Donbass in the war by shifting to the Donbass region. But whether that's going to be coming to fruition, who knows? And Okay, I also want to know that the Ukrainian military, again, it's been the story for weeks and weeks now, has been doing a more than excellent job at fighting back, which many people didn't expect, right? And I think I was reading a report earlier that part of this is due to the fact that the American military is giving them huge amounts of information, of intelligence, as regards to Russian targets, Russian generals, and they've been able to really like put in a lot of pain to the Russian military because of this. And I think because of that, they do have some kind of upper hand in this next phase of the war. And yeah, I mean, to take another example, with regards to the information that we've been giving them, the military information and intelligence, you know, the reason why the Ukrainian Air Force is still standing and the air defenses are still working properly is because, again, they've been receiving intelligence reports from the United States, in which, you know, they warn them, oh, Russia's going to attack here at this time, at this moment, and they receive those reports and they move their assets. They move their planes, their equipment, their air defenses, and they're able to, you know, skirt away from that potential attack. I hope that Russia continues I mean, not Russia. I hope that Ukraine continues to fight valiantly and that they come out on top in this war.